Come over and sit on the comfy sofa.
Yeah, well, it depends what you mean by comfy. But anyway, so Mark joined us in September after 5 years in Lightwater, and before that was curate in Guildford at Christchurch and St Martha on the Hill. And it's interesting that you've chosen to introduce yourself in this big way to us by Desert Island Discs. Why is music so important to you?
That's a great question. Music's just always been a big part of my life. So my dad sang in a choir right when I was growing up. I always sang at school. I play the piano. I played from when I was 6 years old. So music's just always been a part of my life. And I don't go through the day, I don't sit working without music, unless I'm in the office here. We don't have the radio on, but I've always got some music going on. And I've got quite broad and wide taste in just different sorts of things, really.
And maybe we'll encounter some of that this evening.
Certainly will.
So I recall you're coming to the diocese from London. Are you
Yes.
Londoner born and bred?
I am a Londoner born and bred. I was brought up in East Finchley, which is quite a nondescript bit of North London. It's on the Northern Line, where the trains come out of the tunnels. And yeah, I was born and raised there in a nice house with my mum and dad. And I've got a brother and a sister who are they were my mum's children with her first husband, so they're a lot older than me. So I'm kind of an only child, and I'm kind of a little brother. And those two things help you to understand quite a lot, I think.
Okay. And were you brought up in a Christian home?
Ish, nominally. So my grandmother and grandfather are very solid Christians, and they're the sort of bedrock of the Wallace family. My granny's still around, age 98. Came to my second Sunday here. We would have all said we were Christians, and we went to church till I was about 13 to a United Reformed church locally. And then the very wonderful minister who was there, who we all got on very well with, left and was replaced by another minister who we just didn't... He was a nice guy, but we just didn't click with. He wasn't interested in teaching the Bible. He wasn't interested in preaching. And being... my dad was from very kind of evangelical stock, so when this guy didn't preach a sermon on Easter Sunday, we just couldn't... There had been a kind of dialogue, but we just couldn't get that and didn't bring ourselves to go back. And I was about 13. And I wanted to go to church, and I kind of pestered my parents, but they just couldn't get round to bringing me to another church. The church up the road, which I ended up walking into when I was 16, they had known the minister, and they just, again, didn't click with him because he played the guitar, and that was a bit beyond the pale for my mum and dad. But he was the guy who baptised me, and I walked in when I was 16 and didn't really look back. So, yes. And I was at a church, a C of E secondary school, which made a big difference to me as well.
Okay.
I got involved there.
So first piece of music.
First piece of music. So I can remember being on my dad's knee when I was very little, and we would play this. He'd put the record on. It's Zadok the Priest by Handel, which gets played at the coronation when it happens. And it just has a very long build-up, a very long introduction, which is so dramatic when you're little and when you're with your dad. And then I've sung it since with choirs, and you just get this massive noise, and it's just wonderful. So we're going to hear that.